Good day viewers, we are the cyNthia's babies and this is our final course output video presentation where we are going to tackle the story of the intellect behind the notable and well-renowned Venn diagram.
Our study consists of three parts. First is the introduction and exhibit of the early life and education of John Venn. Second is Venn's mathematics expedition. And lastly, the summary and conclusion.
Mathematics has been vital in the world since its discovery. We use it in our daily lives and it has been part of the progress of human development. Mathematics has been developing with the help of many of the greatest mathematicians, and one of them is the British mathematician and logician John Venn.
Who is John Venn? John Venn was a famous British mathematician and logician.
He was the most unforgettable when the use of the eponymous Venn diagrams in the following studies was standardized and become widespread. Number 1. Set theory. Number 2. Probability. Number 3. Statistics. Number 4. Logic. And number 5. Computer science. His main matter of interest was logic, where he made his most important contribution in.
John Venn educational background. He attended Sir Roger Cholmeley's School and then the Islington Preparatory School. Then, in the year 1853, he went and studied mathematics at Cambridge. Then, during his second year, he received a scholarship and was placed as the top 6 graduate to earn a first-class degree in mathematics in 1857 by the time he graduated.
Venn Mathematics Expedition. This comprises John Venn's journey throughout the course of mathematics and his further endowment through his main interests. This includes the composition of his most important contribution, which is the infamous Venn diagram, as well as many of his life works through the course of time and its benefits to the world.
His expedition comprises of 3 parts, which are the composition of his most important contribution, his further endowments to the field of logic, probability, statistics, computer science, and set theory, and lastly, the benefaction of his fruits of labor through the course of time.
First, the composition of his most important contribution, which is the Venn diagram.
George Boole's mathematical logic was expanded by Venn and later on completed what he is famous for to this day. The introduction of Venn diagram in his book Symbolic Logic in 1881. Gottfried Leibniz, he was the first person to use Venn diagrams instead of Venn. John Venn did, however, put together key contributions in addition to Venn diagrams. Which then led them to be standardized, widely used in academic learning and research.
Eulerian circles. This is what Venn diagrams were called before it was borrowed from the world of math. A survey of symbolic logic in 1918. This is a book Clarence Irving Lewis wrote where he cited the diagram as the Venn diagram, which is when it only started to be called the Venn diagram.
John Venn has taught logic and probability at Cambridge University. Enhanced the Venn diagram for the same reason that he made use of diagram to interpret set theory. Came up with his version of diagrams to conquer the difficulties he experienced in expanding Euler's logic.
In figure 2.2 is further endowments to the field of logic, probability, statistics, computer science and set theory, gave rise to different fields such as logic, probability, statistics, computer science, and set theory, wrote Logic of Chance, which was such an influence on the development of the theory of statistics in the year of 1866. Started working on the book Symbolic Logic in 1879, which represents a logic expression by using symbols and variables in place of nature language, that was published in 1881. John Venn published The Principles of Empirical Logic in 1889, then is applied to scientific procedures that became more interesting and extensive. Builds machines, and one of them is automatically bowled cricket balls.
Later in his life, John Venn developed interest aside from mathematics and began compiling a history of Cambridge University. He completed 3 volumes, and these are the following: The Biographical History of Conville and Caius College, 1349 to 1897, Caius College, The Annals of Conville and Caius.
Lastly, the benefaction of his fruits of labor through the course of time. In mathematics, Venn diagrams have been commonly used in school to teach basic math concepts such as sets, unions, and intersections. In advanced mathematics, Venn diagrams have been used to solve complex problems and have been written about extensively in scholarly journals. In statistics and probability, statistics experts use Venn diagrams to predict the likelihood of certain occurrences. In logic, Venn diagrams are used to determine the validity of particular arguments and conclusions.
In linguistics, Venn diagrams have been used to study the commonalities and difference among languages. In teaching, statistics experts use Venn diagrams to predict the likelihood of certain occurrences. In computer science, programmers use Venn diagrams to visualize computer languages and hierarchies. In business, Venn diagrams can be used to compare and contrast products, services, processes, or pretty much anything that can be depicted in sets.
In conclusion, John Venn made a significant change in the world of logic, mathematics, and philosophy. His contribution of Venn diagram, which made him one of the famous inventors or contributors in logic and mathematics, had been used in wide ranges of logic explanation.